Before we begin, a content warning. This episode contains discussion of a missing child, possible homicide, DNA evidence, and the systemic failures in how Black children's disappearances are investigated and covered. Please take care of yourself. It was Valentine's Day 2000, and 9-year-old Asha Degree was gone. No goodbye, no note, no explanation. Just a cold, rainy night in Shelby, North Carolina, and a little girl walking alone down Highway 18 in the dark. One witness saw her. When he turned his car around, she had vanished into the trees. 25 years later, Asia's family is still waiting for answers. But for the first time in this case, those answers may finally be close enough to touch. This is The Last Known Moment, a true crime series about the people who vanish and the cases that refuse to close. I'm your host for Natural Queen 77 TV, and today we are going inside one of the most haunting cold cases in American history, the disappearance of Asha Degree. Asha Degree was born on the 5th of August 1990. She was 9 years old when she disappeared. She lived in Shelby, North Carolina, a small city in Cleveland County, with her parents, Aquila and Harold Degree, and her older brother, O'Brien. Everyone who knew Asha described the same child: quiet, thoughtful, a reader, a girl who took her schoolwork seriously and didn't get into trouble. She was in the 3rd grade at Fallston Elementary School. She had friends. She had a family who loved her. There was nothing in Asha's history that predicted what would happen on the night of February 13th. No pattern of running away. No known conflict at home. No event in the days or weeks before that gave her parents any reason for alarm. When Aquila and Harold Degree went to bed on the evening of the 13th of February 2000, they believed their daughter was in her room, safe. Sometime between 2:30 and 4 in the morning, Asha got up, packed a backpack, and walked out the front door. Outside, a storm was moving through Cleveland County. It was cold. It was raining hard, the kind of rain that soaks through a child's clothes within minutes. Asha walked to Highway 18 and kept walking. A man named Jeff Ruppa was driving south on Highway 18 in the early morning hours of February 14th. He saw a young girl, alone, on the side of the road. He thought it was strange. He slowed down. As his headlights swept toward her, she turned and ran into the woods. Jeff Ruppa turned his car around. He went back. She was gone. He called police. That phone call is the last confirmed sighting of Asha Degree by any independent witness on record. Think about what that means for a moment. A 9-year-old girl in a rainstorm in the middle of the night saw a car slowing down and ran from it. She ran into the woods rather than flag down help. Investigators have spent 25 years trying to understand that choice. Was she frightened of adults in general? Was she frightened of a specific person she believed might be in that car? Or was she already with someone and the decision to run was not entirely her own? We still do not know. In the days following Asha's disappearance, investigators searched the area around Highway 18. What they found at a shed just off the road raised immediate questions. Inside and around that structure, officers discovered items believed to belong to Asha Degree: pencils, hair bows, a marker, and a package of Peanut M and M's candy. The items were not scattered, they were arranged. This detail has never been explained. Items dropped in haste look different from items that have been placed deliberately. Investigators noted it at the time. It has stayed in the case file ever since. Whether Asha passed through that shed on her own, whether she rested there, whether someone left her belongings there as a marker or a message, no one has definitively answered. But the shed sits on Highway 18 between where she was last seen and where the investigation would eventually lead. 18 months after Asha Degree disappeared, in September of 2001, a construction worker in Burke County, North Carolina, made a discovery. A backpack buried in the ground, wrapped carefully in plastic bags. Inside were Asha's belongings, school items, her name on the contents. There was no question it was hers. Burke County is roughly 30 miles from Shelby and in a different direction than where Jeff Ruppy saw her walking. Whoever buried that backpack had traveled with it, had moved it deliberately, had wrapped it in plastic to slow decomposition and buried it to hide it. This was not a panicked act. This was deliberate concealment. The discovery of that backpack told investigators two things. Asha's belongings had been transported a significant distance, and someone had taken deliberate steps to make sure they were never found. It would take another 22 years before investigators got the break they had been waiting for. More than 2 decades, the disappearance of Asha Degree remained one of the most frustrating unsolved cases in North Carolina. The FBI was involved. The State Bureau of Investigation had been involved. The case never officially closed. But for the families and investigators who watched it, for 20 years, it also never moved. In 2024, that changed. In 2024, the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office formally reclassified Asha Degree's case as a homicide. The move was significant not because it was a surprise to anyone who had followed the case, but because it carried a different investigative weight. A missing persons case and a homicide investigation operate differently. Resources move differently. Warrants come differently. And alongside the reclassification came something the family had waited years to: DNA evidence. Investigators had developed DNA evidence linking the Dedmon family to Asha's case. Roy Dedmon, a registered sex offender who lived in the area around Highway 18, and his wife Connie Dedmon became the focal point of the active investigation. The Dedmon family had been in the picture before, but now for the first time there was forensic material connecting them to what happened to Asha Degree. In September of 2024, law enforcement moved. 8 search warrant locations were executed across properties connected to the Dedmon family. Investigators searched land, they searched structures, they were looking for Asha Degree or for what remained of her. Roy and Connie Dedmon have not been charged. No arrests followed the September warrants. But the execution of 8 simultaneous search warrants against a family connected to the case by DNA evidence was the most significant development in more than 20 years. For Asha's family, who had watched this case go nowhere for 2 decades, it was the first real signal that investigators believed they knew where the answers were. Then, in 2025, a witness came forward. The statement, as investigators described it, included the words, "I killed Asha Degree." The statement was accompanied by text messages, communications that investigators have not publicly detailed, but that were described as corroborating the witness's claim of involvement. This is the most significant development in the history of this case. A person claiming direct responsibility for Asha Degree's death, text message evidence supporting that claim. Investigators have not confirmed who made the statement. They have not confirmed whether it implicates the Dedmon family directly or points to another individual or individuals. The witness statement has not yet produced an indictment, but it exists on the record, and it is being investigated. In April of 2025, that investigation became visible in a way the public had not seen before. The FBI and the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation conducted large-scale searches at multiple locations in Cleveland County. Investigators searched the grounds of Northbrook Elementary School, the school Asha Degree had attended as a child. They searched 2 separate stretches of North Carolina highways. These were not quiet document reviews. These were teams of people on the ground, in the earth, looking for physical evidence that had been hidden for 25 years. As of today, no arrests have been made. The $100,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction in Asha Degree's case still stands. Asha Degree was 9 years old on Valentine's Day 2000. She should be 35 years old today. For 25 years, Aquila and Harold Degree have waited for someone to tell them where their daughter is. They have participated in every investigation. They have answered every call from law enforcement. They have spoken publicly about their daughter so that the world would not forget her name. Asha's case deserves to be held alongside the national conversation about how we respond when Black children go missing. A 9-year-old girl walked out of her house in the middle of a rainstorm, disappeared, and it took 18 months for her buried backpack to be found 30 miles away, and then 2 more decades before DNA evidence moved an investigation forward. That is not how this country responds to every missing child. Asha Degree deserved better in 2000. Her family deserves answers now. If you have any information about the disappearance of Asha Degree, contact the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office at 704-484-4822 or the FBI Charlotte Field Office. A $100,000 reward is still being offered for information leading to an arrest and conviction. Asha Degree was 9 years old. She deserved to be found then. She deserves to be found now. Thank you for listening to The Last Known Moment. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and never let them be forgotten.